Hello, everyone, and a good afternoon to all of you. I appreciate you tuning in. And today we've got an Atlantic League game. It's a recorded one between Jim Haefele, rhymes with safely, and Browning Gentry. This is an important game in Group D. Jim has played 5 games so far, and he is 4-1. Now, in all likelihood, 5-2 will be good enough to make the playoffs, but 4-3 likely will not be, particularly in Group D. So, Jim needs to win either this one or his final game against John Kim, and he should be safe at 5-2. Browning has a lot of his season to go. He is just 1-0, and so this game will meet his June criteria. Any Atlantic League players dialing in, please play your games, and thank you for tuning in. So, I think we're going to have Jim in the chat. Looks like Jim gave a tier 1 sub. So thank you, Jim, for encouraging the viewers to watch my channel. I appreciate the support. And I appreciate the support of everybody, whether you're a subscriber or just tuning in to watch. Thank you for joining me today and every day. So let us move right along. We will be watching today from Jim's perspective. Jim is the USSR. Browning the USA, and we will have it for you right here. Browning said that he might also join in the chat, defend his moves, so I hope that he will be here as well. And here we go. Okay, so looking at Jim's hand here, this is a good hand. No access to speak of, but ops aplenty. Looks like 8, 11, 12, 15, 16, 20 ops here. What up, JA? Yes, he does say that. Thank you for joining, Browning. He does say, what up, JA? I hope that Alex is asleep right now. It's like 3:30 in the morning for him, but he keeps weird hours, so I wouldn't put it past him to join. But okay, so a 4-4-2, and this seems like a pretty easy CNS headline here, although De Gaulle Duck is an option. That would be entirely reasonable. Okay, yeah, and I like CNS here. Browning tries the Asia sneak. He gets away with it, just like Team USA did not do yesterday. I would take a 4-up coup of Iran here. That's exactly what Jim is going to do, and he'll hit the roll. So, okay. A good start for Jim. He picks up 3 VPs in the headline, gets a big roll in Iran, and although he's without access, he has knocked Browning out of Western Asia. Now we'll see. Oh, very interesting. Okay, Browning does not go into Malaysia. Perhaps Jim was hoping to see one Malaysia here and then a duck coup, but we do not get that. Okay, Jim goes for a second in Yugoslavia because he knows he's going to, he's almost certainly going to give up EEU here, although maybe he won't. This seems like a situation where you're going to UN something, do an empty 5-year plan, and get an extra card on turn 2. So with no access here, yeah, this is fine. South Korea, I think, is also fine. But yeah, this makes sense to me. Take a Middle East Dom. Browning will certainly take Libya. Oh, no, he won't. Very interesting. Okay, Browning decides to space. I'm a little surprised by that because Browning certainly doesn't have Middle East. He would have dumped it instead of Asia. He's given Jim the opportunity to get off a Middle East Dom if he has it. So I'm a little bit confused by that from Browning, but Jim does not have Middle East scoring. And so Jim now he again with someone Jim does not have access, but he's got 4 mil ops. DefCon's at 4. He certainly doesn't want to coup again this turn. I think he wants to make Browning lower DefCon by cooing um, an overprotected Iran. And if he hits it, then Jim can take a coup back as the last one. So yeah, I like the play from Jim getting into South Korea. Okay, yeah, and Browning says he doesn't want to get Libya cooed here. Because then he's certainly getting dominated in the Middle East if he gives up a big number in Libya. But in this particular case, I don't think Jim would particularly care to coup Libya. We'll see. Okay, Browning's going to take his coup, and he misses. Okay, so now the duck coup of Malaysia is no longer in play. So Jim needs to decide. So this is a situation where you don't want to give up the last coup in Iran if you're Jim. So you could coup Panama, lower DEFCON to 2 and call it good. Or you could get into Western Asia so that if you do get couped in Iran, it's not so bad. But yeah, I think a UN of duck is probably fine here. You can coup Panama. IP war still unseen. Oh, going to coup Egypt. Oh, and he's going to hit the roll. Wow. Okay, I would have thought Panama there, but he coups Egypt instead, and now certainly will be scoring Middle East Dom whenever that scoring decides to come around. Okay, so Jim going to save his Panama coup for turn 2 or turn 3. CIA not a factor because is already active with Cuba. And now I wonder if these two will go into France. Okay, 1 France, 1 Malaysia makes sense. Does the de Gaulle event make sense here? Not sure it does. Libya. Yeah. You don't want to get Truman out of France. So taking Libya makes sense. Libya is an important country, and now certainly going to see a Middle East Dom. And yeah, okay. Getting 1 into Pakistan makes sense. Start that march. And there is Truman's. So a good play by Jim to avoid the de Gaulle event. I think this is probably 1 Pakistan, 1 India, 1 South Korea makes sense. 2 South Korea, 1 India makes sense. A poke of West Germany with Truman gone also makes sense. A poke of West Germany and Yugoslavia could make sense. I'm not saying that's a good play, but it would give Dom. Okay, Jim going to put the 2nd in Pakistan and do the West Germany poke. All right, so IP war going to loom large. Jim, I like the play from Jim to get into to do the West Germany poke with Truman gone, but IP war could be big. Okay, Browning with a 4-op, he can fix that. He'll take Europe Dom, and what else? He'll take Thailand, which makes sense. Okay, Jim happy to pick up IP war, also picks up Vietnam. This is a great hand for Jim. Vietnam's a great headline here. That gives him domination in Asia. SOC Govs is a good headline. SOC Govs plus NATO, assuming we don't see a Marshall headline, gives Jim France. Now, of course, the other big piece of it is defectors is around. So 2 great headlines for Jim here. I think I'd personally go with Vietnam. And then hope to flip Thailand with NATO. But, okay, going to go SOC Govs, and it's going to be defectored. Yeah, that's annoying, certainly. Okay, so now Jim will certainly just take his coup. I think you take it with either AI war or IP war. IP war could be a good hold. You could also, never mind, you could also take the coup with NATO. Okay, going to take a 2-op coup. So you could take the coup with NATO to make sure it isn't active. And NATO actually would have been helpful if we had used NATO. Would have flipped over Panama. Okay, Olympics, yeah, and take Laos rather. Excuse me, Jim. And so NATO here could take India. I think I like getting 1 into India and taking South Korea to free up Korean War. Okay, Jim has other ideas. He's going to aggressively pursue this Middle East scoring. The problem with this is if Browning goes Burma, Jim now doesn't have the ops to fill up India. I don't know if I'd want to rely on the war for that. IP war also could be an excellent hold here. Um, okay, and Browning gets Europe, so defectors in Europe. Browning was getting Europe off no matter what. And does Jim want to push for control here? Yeah, I think, yeah, spacing NORAD's good. You're definitely not giving that on this board. Jim hits the Rolkin space again. But I think I like Korean War. Vietnam could even be a decent event. Browning wants to stop the double. He will. Korean War takes South Korea as a fine play here. I think that would be my play. Vietnam for the event would be really annoying. Um, but I think it's probably too late in the turn for that now. Jim's going to go for it. Okay, he's going to go for it. And so that forces Browning. I think Browning's immediately got to overprotect Thailand and Laos. I think it has to overprotect both. Yes, and he will. It's okay. Vietnam could end up being an important country. Okay, now I think Korean War. If we're going to play that for ops, which we should here, that should take South Korea. That's exactly what it's going to do. And then we'll hold IP war. IP war, or excuse me, yeah, containment could take India. That would give Jim 4 battlegrounds in Asia plus Vietnam. Would give him. This will presumably stop domination, although it is unscored. No, okay, yeah, Asia's not scored. Yeah, I think Burma's fine. I think I'd just take India with this. Okay, and this, yeah, I like this play from Jim. Yeah, this is a classic USSR ops and rolls, but no access type game. Commanding domination in the Middle East, 4 battlegrounds locked up in Asia, but he is dominated in Europe, and he's got nothing in the mid-war regions other than Fidel. Yeah, I did. Sorry, I did start a little bit early, Jordan. The reason I did that was because Browning said would have to log off in about a half hour from now. So I wanted to maximize both Jim's and Browning's opportunities to defend their plays. So unfortunately for Jim, a bad break for him. Europe comes turn 2, but Middle East does not. So Jim's not going to get. Jim's going to get presumably 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 BPs in the Middle East. 10 if he is able to get control. But I think Jim. I don't think we've seen either decall or destall. Maybe I missed it and it was discarded with blockade. But I think Jim would rather than scoring Middle East control, Jim would rather get some access and spread out in the mid-war regions. Oh, that's right. Never mind. I missed both. That's right. We did see decall space turn 1. What was I thinking? Yes. Okay. And Browning beefs up France to 5, stops Asia Dom, which makes sense. De Gaulle has been seen. Here we are, turn 3. Okay, a nice hand for Jim here. He picks up Purge, picks up De Gaulle, although less valuable now with France at 5. Picks up another 4-op. And he picks up Middle East scoring. What Jim was hoping for, though, was a redraw of decall or destall. And he does not get that. So, yeah, Browning, yes, that makes sense. Browning should not have used a 4, so it should not have held a 4 up to AR6 with containment unseen. So Cambridge 5, De Gaulle gets you access to Algeria, although it's easily fixed with an AR, Garden Variety 3 from Browning on AR1. Cambridge 5, if it hits Europe, does very little. Although I guess you put it into West Germany and then you could jam 2 4-ops in there. So yeah, but you are giving up a coup if you do that. So that's not bad. Hitting Asia could flip Thailand though, which would obviously be huge. Of course, there is Purge. So Purge makes sense too. Purge is always a good headline. And Jim in this situation, it just doesn't have much to do with his ops. He doesn't have the access he wants. So yeah, he wants to fill up Israel, I guess. But short of that, he doesn't have anywhere to go. So I think Purge is good here because you want both players having less ops. Yeah, Defectors was seen turn 2. Oh, okay. And Defectors is seen turn 3. So good play by Jim not purging. And Browning defects Cambridge 5. So this to me would be a big old 4-op coup of South Africa. Yeah, I mean, if you can hit a 5 here, oh man, yeah. And if we, oh boy, if we'd used Purge, that would have at least emptied out South Africa. But I suppose Purge makes sense to save to take Israel here. But okay, Jim has to trigger EEU. Gonna space Korean War. That makes sense. Okay, Browning misses. Now I think I'd take Israel. I think you've got to take Israel if you're Jim. You don't have anything better to do. Israel is 3 VPs. Yeah, and this is the play. That's 100% the right play. I'm sure Jim would rather be spreading in the mid-war regions, but this is the right play. Now, if Browning wants to jam stuff in the Middle East to stop Jim from scoring control, I think Jim would be fine with that because if Browning's doing that, he's not taking Angola, he's not taking Zaire, he's not taking Algeria. Yeah, and I would just put IP war into that. Yeah, I'd let Browning keep jamming here. I would just put IP war in, I think. Okay, Jim doesn't want to give up an Iran poke. Okay, there's AI war. Saudi. All right, I just fixed that with a 1. I have no problem fixing that with a 1 and scoring on AR6. Now, obviously, a 5-year plan redraw is that hits Middle East is just so epically bad. But yeah, I would fix that with a 1. Let Browning break again because all this breaking means he's not taking Algeria, he's not taking Mexico, not taking Angola, not taking Zaire, not taking Southeast Asian countries. Yeah, I like this from Jim. It's about this time when if I were Jim, I'd start getting worried about 5-year plan, unless he knows all the cards in Browning's hand. UN of Warsaw. I think I'd jam Egypt over that. Yeah, just fix that with IP war. Yep, I like that. Now Browning's got to break one more time or trigger 5-year plan if he has it. Okay. And he doesn't have, he just has the 1-op. Okay, so that did not work out well for Browning. Browning now has to give up the 10 VPs in the Middle East. And not only that, he doesn't get into the important mid-war countries. So, oh, Jim. Okay, so yeah, Jim pointed it out, and I should have tracked that as well. Jim realized that Browning was stuck with 2 1-ops. So mid-war regions entirely blank. Oh, and there's decall. Huge turn 4 with okay. Southeast Asia is a disaster for Jim, but decall could flip Thailand. Defectors is gone. Decall's also huge in Africa. Oh boy, this is great. And Jim also gets a couple of guilt-free 4-ops to go with U.S. Japan. Oh boy, the world is Jim's oyster here. The only thing he does not have is access to South America. However, Jim does have South America scoring, which is the next best thing, so he'll be able to dump it presumably before Browning gets in there. unless we see a junta right here on AR1. Or, excuse me, in the headline. Jim up 11 VPs here. Now, he's going to give some back in Southeast. South America, presumably going to be blank. But he should be able to make some hay in Africa. I think this is a decall headline. I think it's decall. Okay, that's a good headline from Browning because that stops the Thailand flip. So now I think it's just Angola, Nigeria. I might go Indonesia instead of Thailand here since we don't have China. Algeria for sure. So yeah, and Jim make that makes sense. Jim doesn't have a good coup target, so and a Thailand flip is 4 VPs here. Take Southeast from 6 down to 2. I would go. Zaire makes sense. Zaire's fine. Indonesia also makes sense as a possible flip target. This is fine. But yeah, now we're just taking a coup of South Africa again. Yeah, and Browning, I think Browning here has got to be sorry that he spent all that time fighting in the Middle East only to lose that fight and not take these countries in Africa. Jim would be in a much tougher spot if Angola, Zaire, and Algeria were filled. Jim gets a big role in South Africa, and now it's close to Africa control, although Browning's going to take Algeria here. Now I think his space. Taking South Africa makes taking South Africa is fine. Um, mm, the overprotecting of the Koreas makes some sense, but China's face down. I'm not that worried about it. That taking South Africa makes sense because of voice. VOA taking us out of the bottom of Africa is a disaster. Although VOA, never mind. If Browning had VOA, he certainly would have triggered it right after decall. Would have gone Angola, Zaire, South Africa, and Algeria. That would have been devastating. So he doesn't have it. I think that overprotect could have waited. I think I'd have liked to see Jim Space there. Either U.S. Japan or Camp David would be fine as well. U.S. Japan could theoretically be used as an empty AR, trigger it, and then jam the 3 right back into Japan. Browning hits the roll. Yeah, I think I would have liked to see Jim Space first there, but Browning hits the roll. Yeah, got to dump South America. Now there's no rush to space. Jim may, and another Europe scoring. Jim not happy to see that. But okay, Jim with a 4 VP lead. South America is his most vulnerable region, and now he's down to. I was wondering if Jim was going to use Quagmire, hope Browning missed a roll, and then flip Thailand with 2 4-ops. But he does not do that. That would have been very aggressive. Okay, I don't think we want to take Dom here. I don't want to take a non-battleground here and give mill ops. I like the overprotect of Nigeria. There doesn't seem to really be a path to Asia Dom for us. Browning already with 7 countries in Asia. Okay, yeah. I would have thought about spacing Camp David. I really don't like giving it. And it makes Sadat a lot more annoying. I might have used the 4 out there, but okay. Oh, well, hey, and Jim is immediately vindicated on that play because he's going to be able to take that one right back out of Egypt. I like taking the one. I take Jordan and Egypt for because of Sadat. Thinking about Iraq or Saudi, which I get, it's more influence. But yeah, Saudi's not going to get jammed. Egypt though is going to turn. I would have taken out. I would have taken out of Egypt there. I think. Okay, I'm going to try some even realigns here. Miss. Is going to hang on one more. Will. Okay, and now we're gonna protect here. I don't like giving these mill ops. I think I would allow Browning to try these even realigns. I'd take back Israel here, or potentially. Um, yeah, Jim rethinking it. Ordinarily, Nicaragua Haiti's a good play, but then Nicaragua gets cooed, and that's a path to Panama. And you do not want to give that up. That gives up. Yeah, this gives up mill ops, and if Browning gets a big roll, then he gets a path right back into Panama. Yeah, and an immediate coup there. Oh, a coup of Haiti. I don't like that from Browning. I would have rather seen that go Nicaragua because now if that had gone Nicaragua, Browning could now go Costa Rica. And I don't like that from Jim. I would have liked to see Jim go Costa Rica there. Yeah, and now Cuba is in some trouble. Both players missed out on Costa Rica, which could have led to them getting Panama. Um, okay, so here we are in turn 5, and a little bit of a problematic hand, although not too much. CRG is a problem, but can be spaced. I wonder if we'll see. Where is UN? If UN is not around, I wonder if we see "We Will Bury You" as the headline. Okay, Quag. Yeah. Okay, so Quagmire is a fine headline from Jim. Jim really doesn't want to see VOA here. VOA would be a problem. Obviously, grain is always an issue, but we will see neither player with headline peak. I also don't believe we've seen one small step. Okay, ABM. ABM's a good headline. This, I assume, will just be an easy coup in Africa. It's not going to make a difference in Asia. So this will just be maybe an Angola coup. Angola or Nigeria makes sense. I guess you don't want to do Angola with the Quagmire. You can't do Angola while under Quag. So Zaire makes sense. Now Jim at DEFCON 3, I think you just coup that back, don't you? You coup that back, then you dump Central for even. I think I coup back with Alliance, stomach the 1, and then whatever the roll is, dump Central for even before we get realigned. Okay, we're going to go Mexico. All right. That makes sense too. Now Alliance is free, so we save the VP there. All right. Okay. Now Jim has the opportunity to score Central for 2, but if he does that, Angola could get flipped, which is a problem because that immediately concedes Dom in Africa. I can understand why he did that, though, because Cuba's about to get realigned. But a flip of Angola is problematic here. Oh, a brush of Nigeria, also problematic. So ABM, D-stall, and brush so far here. Yeah, so Jim picked up 2 VPs in Central. I liked the coup in Zaire better. Um, we did save a VP with Alliance by cooing Mexico instead, and we saved 2 in Central. So with Central scoring. So that's 3 VPs we have saved in Central. But I worry we're going to give back more than that in Africa. Yeah, we're still dominated in Africa. Jim probably wants to poke with Omit. He wants to do that before we see Sadat. Oh my goodness, Junta as well. All 3 power cards in Browning's hand here, and now he'll get the realigns. A 1-6, and he needs another, and that one will hit. Oh boy. Okay, so the Americas all of a sudden a disaster for Jim. Fortunately for him, though, they are both scored. I think this is a summit coup of Saharan. Needs at least a 3 here. He's not going to get it. Oh my goodness. Puppets as well. Into the bottom half of South. Now we are dominating Africa. 6 countries to 3, so even a coup doesn't fix it. So Jim now, and you could jam Algeria, I guess, but even that's realignable. Jim is in some trouble here. I think we're going to have to dump Africa. Um, wow, all 3 power cards puppeting into an empty South America, and then D-stall to dump into the quagmire. Yeah. So we pick up 3 in Central with the Mexico coup, but I think we give up more than that in Africa. We'll see. Jim wants to space here. Oh, OAS. I mean, at this point, and OAS gets him right back into Panama. Well, that's all the access that Jim needed, and Browning gets it all on turn 5. Ridiculous turn 5 hand. All 3 power cards, 2 big access cards as well. And then, of course, big rolls. Jim finally spaces. And will we see one small step here as the topper? Okay, NTB should just be filling battlegrounds, exactly what it's going to do. Omit should be a poke of Lebanon, I think. I think I like the Omit poke of Lebanon here. Yeah, Jim wants to get Dom here, but he doesn't have access to flip Indonesia. He'd need to flip Indonesia and take Afghanistan, but he doesn't have access to Indonesia. I think I like holding We Will Bury You to turn 6 and poking Lebanon with Omit before Sadat comes, because Omit is now unspaceable. US Japan is in the discard, so that plays reasonable, but it's only 2 VP. It's not going to decide domination. I would rather, yeah. I mean, taking Israel is fine. Taking these Mediterranean countries is fine, but yeah, I would like to see Jim poke Lebanon, but yeah, Jim here at the start of this turn was in reasonably good shape on this board, but boy, Browning got a ton, and now, so Jim's yeah, he's got three +3 in Asia. But Browning with solid DOMs leaning toward controls on the other four regions other than Asia and Middle East. Browning also with 6 VP lead on the board. OAS, excuse me, not OAS, rather OAS is gone. OSS is around as well, which could haunt Jim. Okay, Jim gets one small step. Also picks up Asia and OPEC, so and a couple of good space cards. So Jim perhaps breathing a sigh of relief here. Still a little worried about Sadat though, because Omid is unspaceable. Yeah, Missile Envy is going to pull. Boy, I guess NORAD. I guess you give NORAD to it. You can't give up a coup here. You need to get a coup in Africa, right? So you give NORAD. You headline OPEC for 5. That's big. Then you give NORAD, and then you coup Nigeria with Missile Envy. I think with just a 2-op, you don't going to take a chance to break into the Americas. I would give NORAD here. I definitely would give NORAD here, and because I want that coup in Africa. I want that coup in Africa bad. CMC, we're locked. CMC, we are locked out here because we can't get Millops. We do not have a path to Millops if we give CMC, and we're not getting that coup in Africa that we desperately need. So I would prefer to give NORAD here. OPEC is not getting better, so definitely OPEC is the headline. Allende should be an event as soon as we can. But realistically, Browning could just respond with a 3-op. I would give NORAD here. Bear Trap's going to go to space. Omid is a poke or a hold. Jim thinking hard about this play, but for me, this would be a give of NORAD and then a coup of Nigeria. Okay, Zaire instead is fine, and then he hits the roll. So yeah, Allende is also reasonable here. The issue I think is we are stuck with a 2-op play on our AR1, so it's not like we can even take Chile. We have to coup. So I think Allende later is fine. So I like the play from Jim there. Picks up 5 EPs. Is going to presumably pick up 3 more in Asia, 4 more now with U2. Yeah, fill. Okay. Yeah, Asia is fine here. I would have liked to see Jim poke Lebanon. Okay, nope, no Sadat. And there's that. Okay, I like the space here. Yep, got to do it. Jim picks up 3 VPs. Okay. So now VPs have swung, and there is Sadat finally. VPs have swung now from blue +6 to red +6. Jim also with Millops, and Browning needs to get them. Allende makes sense, not really going to do much here, but at least gets you access. Nuke subs. Okay, well, nuke subs, we're glad that wasn't an event. Yeah, CMC for a jam. I like that too. We just don't have anything better to do. Although I might have jammed Egypt. Because then even after a fix, Muslims gives us control. I might have jammed Egypt instead, but I'm fine with this. Yeah, Jim celebrating his first influence in the Americas here on turn 6. Although he was in Cuba and was able to score Central for a positive number. Oh boy, assault for ABM. Not great. This seems fine. Oh, and there's Gunman. One thing though, we have not seen. Okay, we've not seen grain yet, I believe. So I don't think we've seen grain. Okay, then there's a coup in Nigeria. Presumably, we just see a coup back in Angola or Zaire. We've not seen grain sales, and that's a concern. Oh, Cuban Missile Crisis is showing as active up there, but that's just because Jim um, thought about giving it and then changed his mind. That didn't disappear. Okay. Okay. Take Dom back in South America. I'm going to give Jim another coup if he wants it. Browning's just got 2 1-ops, which becomes 0 ops, plus ABM, which he wants to hold through. Okay, and now with Gunman gone, Jim says, okay, I'll give up Omit. But yeah, grain sales is around. Portuguese, cultural, and Olympic. Cultural would be a nice card to have next turn if indeed we are stuck with grain. Cameroon makes a little bit of sense here. Okay, that's fine too. I suspect Browning will just ignore that. Because I believe Browning's holding Truman, right? Isn't Browning holding Truman, Kitchen, and ABM? So I think Browning just coups with Kitchen here, gives up the 1 VP, and holds Truman. So I don't think that does much. I would have rather gone Cameroon. Okay, Zaire is emptied, and here we go to turn 7. DEFCON is 2. Oh my goodness. So we pick up grain, and we pick up Europe. So my guess is, yeah, this is, ugh. And grain is unspaceable. So a Europe headline makes sense. We could be worried about Truman. But I think Jim's going to take a chance that Browning is not going to headline Truman. Jim's just going to hope Browning's not going to headline Truman and then give grain AR1. If he can. Ugh, this is a terrible hand for Jim. Stuck with Usuri. You know, Usuri can go to space. Kennedy is not that big a deal. The Pope is very annoying, but it can be repaired. Yeah, I think I like this taking the risk from Jim here, and I may be about to eat my words that I didn't. No, okay, VOA. So, okay, so VOA is very bad. Yeah, Angola, Libya. Yep. Okay, Jim does get out of Europe, so good play there. And then, so yeah, I think Jim can give up grain here because I'm not sure where a 5-year plan is. So, and actually, you know what? Giving up grain here is not as bad because if assuming Browning coups, we can just take Angola. Although we are going to lose Zaire. We're going to lose Zaire regardless, though. Okay, big coup in Brazil. That evens up South America. Oh, and there's 5-year plan for the event. And that is GG. I did not remember 5-year. Yeah, I wasn't sure about 5-year plan, but yeah, 5-year plan pulling. OSS. That is GG, folks. Um, yep, yep. I think Grain had to be given AR1. Now we give one of these bad events in all likelihood, and then, but then we can still take back Angola. Now we are going to lose Zaire and we're going to lose Nigeria, but we're going to lose those anyway. Um, and then you're behind on this board, quite behind on this board, but you are at 7 VPs, potentially get to space discard, even though I won't be able to discard anything this turn, and you hope for War Games turn 8. Um, yeah, and Jim it points out correctly that if he can hit a space roll, he doesn't never has to give grain because he can just discard it. But he forgot about 5-year plan, um, and so Browning triggered it, and Browning knows that Jim has grain sales. Jim hits the space roll indeed, gets to discard, but unfortunately it's a day late and a dollar short. It's frustrating, Jim. Thank you for joining me. Um, thanks for joining and pointing things out here, defending your plays. I would have liked to see this one in the late war. Now of course, South America at this point is even, but Browning would have a comfortable domination if we had given up grain. Central, Fidel's gone, and so we would have been hopelessly behind in Central as well. And Africa. We would have gotten Angola back, but we would have lost Nigeria and Zaire. So really, it would have just been Asia at +3, Middle East. Now that we've lost Libya, Middle East is just 4. And so it would be a strictly war game situation. Gunmen gone. So it would really have been a war games or bust situation. But you know what? War games does come turn 8 sometimes right when the Soviets need them. Um, so that will do it. And thank you guys for tuning in. An interesting game with some interesting decisions made. In some ways, one of those classic USSR high ops, high rolls, no access games in the early war. Jim, this board is ugly for Jim, but he was able to get the Americas scored quickly before they became disasters for him. Africa, it wasn't quite in time, but then turn 7 grain, and Jim had hit just too many space rolls. So unfortunate for him. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks, Jim and Brownie, for playing this game. Thank you, Jim, for sharing the video. Any other Atlantic League games or other games you'd like me to stream, let me know. I'll be happy to do that. But that will do it. So until next time, thank you to Jim. Thank you to Browning. Thanks most of all to you for watching. This is Justin Abramson. That was fun, but now it's done. So long, everybody.